essay presentation. More and more tools and things like buildings, toasters, you name it, is getting computational ability inside of it, is getting a chip. That also means that more and more people who aren't really nerds are going to have to deal with these issues around data and privacy and technology. So architects, fashion designers, they're all going to have to think something about this now. And they haven't spent the last 20 years discussing this as much as the nerds have. So they've got some catching up to do, and I hope that this book could be one of the ways that you have a start in catching up with those debates and that discussion. So yeah, so we're making a book, as you can see, we need you and your help and your input to make it happen. So yeah, there's a lot of people here. Thank you all for coming. That's really great. I'm going to talk a little about the 8 principles that are in there now. And I think the most obvious principle is start from the beginning of the project to think about privacy. And we've all seen this happen time and time again, where privacy issues get tacked on later, or thinking about how to fix things. And the best way to think about privacy, the best way to do it is to start from the beginning. The second thing is, and these are semi-random order, is as a designer, please don't make black boxes all the time. Of course, you want to, at one hand, you want to hide how technology works. You want to hide too much from the technical details from the user. But I think we've gone a little bit too far with that. I think we need to let technology, let smart things, smart objects, smart houses, let them explain to the user or to that what they're doing. Give some insight. Just have like a little screen that says, I'm doing this right now, or stuff like that. I'm sending something now. Like there's something that's nice to know, and that you don't always have to hide everything. Give people some knowledge. And I think Timo Arnall wrote a really great article about that, about why invisible interfaces are really a really bad idea, but the idea is so dominant right now. Another one, the third one, is turn the user into a designer. And this is based on work by Lucy Superman, who is a professor at the University of Lancaster now, but she used to work with Mark Weiser, who came up with the whole idea of ubiquitous computing, about making everything smart. And what she basically says is that as a designer, you can't really anticipate all the use cases of your smart project. You just can't, because it'll be used in ways that you never imagined. So instead of trying to anticipate all of those, design your creation in such a way that the user can adapt it to every situation, to every circumstance. So yeah, make people proactive users. And I think there's a really hopeful message in there as well, because I think it's kind of dangerous to create a world that's so chock full of technology now. And at the same time, try to get the people who use it to know as little as possible about it. I think that's really strange. I mean, that's for me like saying like, I was trying to think of metaphors, and I thought, well, cooking. Like it's like saying, well, we have microwave meals now, so why would you still want to cook? People love cooking, and it's interesting to know about food and how it works. So I think we need to have the same attitude towards technology. Okay, the fourth one is a bit of a we have some debate about this one, but it's be ethical. So it's okay to be ethical, and I think this is also. Sorry.
It's okay to be ethical.
It's okay to be ethical. Yeah, it's okay. You can be. And I think that's a big thing that's going on here is the field of value-sensitive design, and TU Delft is working a lot on that. And well, it sounds really obvious, I guess, to us maybe, but not to everyone, that you really have to stand your ground towards your client, towards your user, and really have that, care about that. It means you have to be a critical thinker as well. Okay, number 5. The safest information is the information you don't gather. And there's always an example that I use here, and that's of pizza couriers, like pizza messengers, like this. They bring around the pizzas when you order them. And there's this story where at a certain point it got kind of it seemed like a good idea to make these apps with maps in them, so you could see where your pizza was on the map, when it was coming to you. That basically meant that the pizza couriers didn't really have a lot of privacy left in that field, like where they were. It was kind of open to everyone. But it was also really bad design in a way, because I don't want to know where my pizza is, in how many kilometers away it is from me. I want to know how many minutes away from me it is. So I want to have that I want to give them some privacy to one point, that I don't want to know the space. I want to have an algorithm that automatically says, well, he's about 5 minutes away from you. Now he's about 4 minutes away from you. That's enough for me to know. That's enough for the person selling the pizzas to know. And it still gives the person delivering the pizza some privacy about where exactly he is, what routes he takes, if he stops somewhere. I mean, come on, give the guy some break. So I think that's one example of really thinking how you can it's an example of making your system even better by designing, by taking less information in. I mean, it's a rare example, but I think that's something that we have to strive for. And to really think about, like, what's the minimum amount that we need. Of course, there's also very good, like, lawyerish reasons for that. The more information you have, the more you can get sued. So these are things that I think we have to explain. Kind of the opposite of the ethical one is be naughty. So really start thinking about how your system can be abused when you create it. I think that's something that a lot of people don't really think about. They're like, I'm a hopeful person. I'm a positive person. But like email, you know, no one thought about the ways it could be abused when it was created, but now we all know it's been used like crazy. So I think this is a mindset that, for instance, hackers, like white hat hackers, and black hat hackers as well, obviously, but hackers have this mindset quite well. They realize what can be done and how it can be abused. And I think that's something that more designers should, you know, have as well. Think in a way like a hacker does. Okay, this is an obvious one for today. Encrypt your data. When you do gather the data, if you gather data, please take good care of it. Encrypt it, follow the standards. I mean, this is a very nerdy one, but I think it's important. And this one is a bit more of a cultural thing. Allow anonymous use, or allow pseudonym use. I think 2 years ago, Google tried to force everyone to use the real names. It's called NIM wars. The wars about using the real name. They stopped that and they apologized because it turned out that while using your real name could help solve a lot of the spam issues and all that stuff, it also really harms a lot of people, for instance, in the minorities in our society, who might be, who need that layer of protection to not be abused themselves, or to, like LGBT community. So I think that's something that's important to know. Like, don't always be so strict on this. Allow people to use it as freely as possible. Those are the 8 principles that we've come up with.
Design has a morality to it anyway, because you build in certain affordances, that then become something that's difficult for users to or other people to negotiate.
You cannot walk away from your sort of moral obligations when you build technology. Just because you say you have good intentions or you don't know, that's just not good enough anymore. It might have been good enough 20 years ago, but now, no.
Ik denk, het is voor een deel natuurlijk een marketing, je kunt zeggen, je moet privacy vermarkten. Je moet er een merk van maken, het moet cool worden.
Dat make it fashionable.
Privacy from the beginning and from the end. From the end. So the challenge for the designer would be to give users at least an option to get full insight into what the device is actually doing and with whom it is communicating. This is why we said design glass boxes. So let's say just saying encrypt it and it solves your problems is problematic. If we see the internet as a public infrastructure, then we could make a lot of progress. At the moment it's not, and how do you start to change that? Well, through education and literacy. And then the role of the designers then is part of that movement. Is crypto design, for instance, part of a larger movement of computer literacy?